Hello, YouTube friends. Today we will study Chapter 5 of the Tao Te Ching. Sages are not benevolent. Does this mean that saints are against benevolence and righteousness? There is a classic story in the Western Bible which tells that Adam and Eve did not withstand the temptation of the snake in God's Garden of Eden and ate the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge. So God was angry and expelled them from the Garden of Eden. Many people wonder why God didn't let Adam and Eve eat the fruit from the tree of knowledge. Is God afraid of people having wisdom? Chinese people are already familiar with some deep-rooted concepts. To be a human being, we must adhere to benevolence, justice, reason, and rationality. Without such social norms, we would think, oh, wouldn't this human society become the animal world? However, this life creed of benevolence, justice, reason, and faith has been spoken for thousands of years, and there are still an endless stream of people who are unkind, ignorant, and dishonest. What do you think is wrong with this? There is a very interesting saying. He said that when humans think, God laughs. It's just that many people don't think deeper about it. Why is God laughing? It turns out that this God teaches people to be simple and sincere, and not to love everything. But with a little thought, people turn their lack of love into selfishness. Then why do I say that heaven, earth, and saints are all unkind? Why are all things and people compared to stupid dogs? Is there some overlap between Christian culture and the Taoist culture of the country? The original translation of Chapter 5 means as follows. Heaven and earth have no partiality and regard all things as dogs made of grass. The sage has no partiality and regards the people as dogs made of grass. Isn't it like a big bellows between heaven and earth? It is empty and misty, and the more powerful it is, the greater the wind volume. The more people do, the more things they do will be hindered. It is better to follow the laws of nature and act in a neutral manner. What Lao Tzu said in this chapter is that there is no so-called kindness in the world. It has no partiality and treats all things like paper dogs, letting all things fend for themselves. These saints are also people who imitate the Great Way and understand the true meaning of the Great Way, so they have no partiality. All people are treated equally, and people are allowed to take care of themselves without any interference. I talked about a very vivid thing in the Great Tao. It is called Tua Yue, which is a bellows for burning fire and cooking. Lao Tzu believes that this avenue is like a hollow bellows in the middle. It is empty and never exhausted. The more it agitates, the more wind there will be. It seems that it will always be able to emit a kind of endless power. Lao Tzu also said, we humans have too many ideas and are always tossing and turning. The more this happens, the more confused we become. For many things, the more we think about them, the more confused we become. It is better to keep our hearts empty. In the state of pure Taoism, as long as you follow the objective laws, everything will be natural and orderly. In Chapter 5, Lao Tzu talked about two core things to be translated. The first one is the ruthlessness of the objective path, which directly exposes the hypocrisy of human beings. The second is to advise people not to think wildly, not to mess around, but to follow the laws of the Great Road. Now, let us first talk about the first core translation, which is the ruthlessness of the Great Road and the denial of hypocrisy. Among the Chinese, anyone with a little bit of education knows that benevolence, justice, reason, trust, gentleness, meritoriousness, frugality, and other moral principles, no matter how much people can achieve them. At least most people agree with them. But Lao Tzu directly put forward the proposition that the saints of heaven and earth are unkind, which is indeed a bit beyond people's expectations. People will think, if there is no benevolence and righteousness, wouldn't they become ruthless villains? Don't these saints teach people how to behave? Are they supposed to be gentlemen? How can people be allowed to do so? What about becoming a villain? Oh, this is really hard to understand. In history, the two saints, Lao Tzu and Confucius, are probably the most famous. These two great saints both saw the chaos of the society at that time, and they both felt anxious about it. I saw the root cause of the chaos and found the root cause of deviation from the Great Path. Confucius also saw this chaos and discovered the essence of false feelings and false intentions in reality. Lao Tzu emphasizes that Tao begets virtue and Tao begets people. Otherwise, the people we talk about must be like a big tree with rotten roots. Even if it has branches and leaves, it has actually lost its life. What comes out is a fake thing that fools people. Lao Tzu emphasizes benevolence, but Confucius also emphasizes benevolence. The benevolence that Lao Tzu emphasizes is benevolence that is in harmony with Tao, while the benevolence proposed by Confucius emphasizes that benevolent people love others. The reason why Confucius said this is because he saw that reality is full of so much hypocrisy. It seems that both Taoists are opposed to hypocrisy. Therefore, the unkindness that Lao Tzu talks about here is actually referring to the hypocrisy of benevolence and hypocrisy in reality. If unkindness were replaced by not hypocritical benevolence, but sincere benevolence from the heart, that is, benevolence that is in harmony with the Tao, would the saints still object? Looking back at our own reality, there are also true benevolence and true intentions, but more hypocritical benevolence and false intentions. When many people are nice to others, they usually ask for help from others. Can you say that this is really nice to others? It's just taking advantage of them. When nothing happens, the brothers exchange cups and cups. Once there is a dispute over interests, they immediately turn against each other. Tell me, where did all the love go? When lovers fall in love, they are sworn to each other, but once they turn against each other and speak harshly to each other, they would like to kill each other. Tell me, what kind of love is this? This kind of hypocritical thing will be detested by ordinary people, let alone saints. Understanding this truth, it is not difficult for us to understand the true meaning of the unkindness of heaven and earth and the unkindness of saints. The saints oppose false benevolence and hypocrisy and advocate true feelings, true benevolence, and true love based on the great Tao. Otherwise, we will oppose hypocrisy on the one hand and practice hypocrisy on the other. Isn't this just teasing ourselves? In fact, the saints have long seen through those people in reality who have deviated from the Tao and have twisted such creeds as benevolence, justice, reason, and faith into false things. In this, Lao Tzu revealed the root cause of human morality, that is, as long as we deviate from the right path, all the things called morality that are born are hypocritical. Only by returning to the righteous way of heaven and earth and the virtue generated by the Tao, that is, the kind of ethics of doing things according to the rules, can we be the true sense of virtue, can we be reliable, and can it be long-lasting? Let's talk about the second core idea in this chapter, which is to empty your heart and return to the great road. I have long seen that people's inner subjective thoughts often contradict and oppose the objective way. Even if we sometimes have good intentions in our hearts, it is actually difficult to form true morality. So I advise people not to stick to their inner subjective thoughts. Even if it sounds beautiful, it may be hypocritical in the end. Lao Tzu tells people to empty their inner prejudices, keep their hearts hollow like a bellows burning fire, and follow the laws of heaven and earth, which will allow us to have truly infinite personality power. If a person realizes the Tao, he must learn and imitate the principle of the Tao, or the bellows. With fewer thoughts in your heart, you can connect and integrate with the great road and finally be able to form harmony. Miraculous changes will occur in our own lives. But if people are always distracted and have many thoughts, they will deviate from the Tao, and they will confront the huge and dominating power of the Tao. Of course, there will be no good results. If this continues, it will easily make people feel entangled and depressed. In fact, many of our contemporary friends feel depressed, and some even suffer from depression because of this. It's because I just use my own thoughts to think about everything about others in my own heart. The more I think about it, the more I can't figure it out, and I end up getting sick. Therefore, if we can get rid of all our inner thoughts, stop boasting, and integrate our empty and pure life with the infinite power of the Tao, then we can find a way out for our lives. Zhuangzi said in Jibeyu that there is such a nature of the great Tao. The heaven and earth are beautiful but not strict. The four seasons have clear laws but are not easy. And everything has its principles but is not explained. It can be seen from this that whether it is human will, affection, or love, these virtues that we are familiar with can only be true virtues if they are on the Tao, that is, only if they comply with objective laws. Otherwise, they must be rootless grass. Even if it is used, it has become a fig leaf for the false love in the world. By studying Lao Tzu's thoughts in this chapter, we understand that the ruthless nature of the great Tao actually means no personal feelings, but his impartiality and selflessness to all things. This is the true great love. The second is that he has no preference among saints, because saints follow the path of heaven and earth and are impartial and selfless towards all things in life. On the contrary, those who are not enlightened are always selfish and partial, so caring for others and affection are often just words. Once they encounter the test of things, they cease to exist. The third one is that the saints tell us to extinguish our inner thoughts and give up our subjective thoughts. No matter how much you see, no matter how much you say, no matter how correct you think what you say is correct, it is only your own subjective and limited understanding. Since it is very limited, it is better to give up and return to the infinite objective road, so that we can integrate with the objective road that is huge in power. Some people may say that this sounds reasonable, but what will happen if we don't do this? In fact, in reality, many people are writing this negative teaching material for us. Look, aren't those fake people and their false intentions all deceiving themselves and others? Once the incident happens, everything will be wiped out in ashes, not only betraying oneself, but also hurting others. You said, why do you do this kind of loss-making business? Speaking of which, only impartiality and selflessness in line with the great road, great righteousness, and true righteousness can only be achieved. Only selfless fraternity and true love, only the undifferentiated supreme good, only the true goodness that seeks nothing from outside, only the wise people who are not afraid of suffering and know how to reflect on themselves, can make us simple-minded and wise. Finally, we summarize the essence of the 5th chapter of Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching into a few sentences and dedicate it to our friends. Heaven and earth are not benevolent, but great achievements can be made, so you will be respected for a long time. The saint is not benevolent, but has true love, so you are immortal and worshipped. He has many thoughts and selfish motives, which are revealed as soon as he says something. On the contrary, when you look back at your delusional thoughts, your mind will be calm, and everything will be silent. Friends, in the next lecture, we will start the study of Chapter 6 of the Tao Te Ching and see why an atheist like Lao Tzu talks about God again. Moreover, he is an immortal God. Could it be that I would contradict myself in my own thoughts? Thank you for listening and accompanying me. See you next time.